Hey people, what's up? My name is Hart. Today we're going to do some sleepy lo-fi. So I have a track that I've made similar to something you would hear on a playlist like this one. And I'm going to show you how to make some nice organic sounding ear candy, texture, walk you through sound selection, all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and play some of the tracks so you know what it sounds like, and then we'll hop into Ableton and I'll break it down. Alright, so let's go ahead and break this down. So first off, I've got BPM set at 62, which may seem a little slow, but for a sleepy track, that's kind of perfect. And I started off with making these chords, which is what I pretty much always start with because chords are just so important to setting the tone for your song. And I only have these two instruments here. So I've got this Stage 73, which is a really nice, just soft electric piano. And I'll get into this one in just a sec. But let's break down the chords really quickly. So if we look at the MIDI here, really simple chord progression, but you'll notice that I'm not in a major or minor key. I'm actually in the Lydian mode, which is a really nice mode for kind of that lo-fi, nostalgic, dreamy quality. And if I can actually get to my keyboard here. So that's how the A-flat major scale would go. That's A-flat Lydian. We're just raising that fourth. And that can be a really nice change to give it a more dreamy feel. And chord progression here is actually really simple. I've got that A-flat major to a G minor. And again, A-flat to G minor. Really all I'm doing is adding a bit of a melody here to kind of bridge the gap between the chords. And the only chord that's actually different is this one over here, which is, it's a little spicy. It's a C sharp 9, and it's not actually in the Lydian mode. As you can see, the C sharp and B are actually out of scale. And that's totally okay. You should not feel like you have to keep everything in scale. You can borrow from parallel keys, you can borrow from different scales. Just do what sounds good. And the only thing I'm doing here to make it fit in a little bit more is adding this G, which is the 7th note in the scale. And that's usually a good turnaround to come back to the first chord. So we've got spicy, and then back to chill again. All right, and the next thing I have is this one shot of a pad that I pulled off of Splice actually. And I just have these same chords layered with that piano, so it's playing the exact same chords. Already has a really nice kind of dreamy quality to it. The only thing I've done here is I've put this Somatics Origin plugin, which is a free plugin on here. You can hear when I turn that on and off how it's just taking away some of that harshness, and it's basically just adding a kind of brick wall low pass on there. And I just have a little bit of extra EQ here just to make sure none of those highs creep through. Cutting off any of the lows. Sidechain compressed to my kick. I'm adding soothe on here just to make it even just a little less abrasive. All right, next let's go ahead and break down the drums. So really simple. I basically have a kick, which sounds like this. And really nothing special here. I'm just cutting off any of these extra highs to make it a little more muffled. Some compression to catch any of those peaks. I've got this snare, which is your typical lo-fi type snare. It's kind of this wood sound. And I'm adding some extra delay and reverb to this. So I have this on a send to this kind of ping pong delay. And it's really making it kind of sound like a clock almost, like it's ticking. If I take that away, just really kind of sterile and boring. So adding that reverb and that delay just really helps it be a little more ambient and kind of give it that sleepy quality. The next thing I did was I wanted to layer kind of every other snare with a little bit of extra kind of organic Foley. So I found this loop off of, it's actually from a free Somatics pack. And I'll go ahead and drag it out. It's basically somebody walking through some leaves in the forest. So I just picked one that I liked, just one little crunch. Cut that one out. Kind of come in here and take the tail off of it a little bit. And so every other snare hit, we have those layered together. Just kind of keeps it a little more interesting, and I really like that kind of organic feel. And the last thing that I have here was this really nice kind of drum loop that I grabbed off of Splice, and the entire thing sounds like this. And of course, I already had my own kick and snare, and what I really wanted to do was just grab these out of here. So I went through and chopped a few different sections of these out, and just kind of rearranged them, copy-pasted them together, and consolidated them into this one little loop. And it's just a really nice kind of organic sounding alternative to a hi-hat. Altogether, just sounds really nice and organic. All right, next I'll show you the bass, which is honestly like the most simple thing you can do here. I just grabbed one of the operator presets here, the guitar bass, and didn't really change much of anything. It's really just kind of a sub bass. I have this set to cut off any of those extra highs so they're not creeping up into the rest of the track. And of course, just a slight bit of sidechain to the kick to help the kick come through a little bit. Okay, so the next thing I did was I added just a really simple guitar melody. And this is one of my favorite techniques to do, is record two different melodies. So it's kind of like a call and response. So you record one melody and then record another one that kind of answers back to it. So basically we have this, which is the lead, and down here we have the response. And what I like to do is to kind of pan them left and right to give it a little bit more width. And it's just a really easy way to make your track seem a little more lush, is by panning those just a little bit. All right, lastly, I'll go ahead and break down some of the ear candy and the extra texture that I added to fill this out a little bit. And so I have these bubbles that I made. And those actually started out as just this kind of wood percussion. And what I've done is I actually just chopped out a small section of that. And then I went into the actual audio clip itself and I pitched it all the way down. So as far down as this will go. And if you don't have headphones, you probably can't even hear anything. And then what I've done, let me turn these off, is I added an EQ, and I'm really boosting at one single frequency, which is a cool way to kind of give maybe like a non-tonal percussion or something else a little bit of like a melodic tone. And then the thing that's really making it is this shifter. So I actually have this automated so that the pitch is going from down here to up here, kind of giving it like that bubbles rising feel. And all I'm doing is adding some Pancake, which is a free panning tool, to kind of pan it from ear to ear, and some reverb to make it just a little more ambient. The next thing I made was this kind of ambient arpeggiated sequence that's playing in the back. And that's basically the same chords that are playing from the main chord progression. I actually copied this onto a new track over here. Found this one shot from Somatics that I really liked. It just sounds like that. And what I did was I just set this arpeggiator on here to play pretty fast. And I have this one set to record, so this is an audio track, and basically all I did was just recorded from that. So I took all of those, I just cut out maybe like one section of them like that. And then to kind of process that, I just have a bandpass. I have shaper box on the halftime setting, which is doing most of the work here. And that's really just kind of slowing it down and making it a little bit deeper. And then I have shaper box again, just to kind of pan it. And then, of course, some pretty large reverb here. I have these transitions here, which is basically a guitar note that I took, and I'm using this as a riser and a faller. And of course, last thing, it wouldn't be lo-fi if we didn't have some background noise. And this is just really, really subtle. It almost sounds like white noise. You can barely hear it in the track. But you'll notice as soon as I turn it off. And now everything is just a little too sterile. Sounds a lot better with it on. And that's pretty much how I made this track. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like, subscribe, tell me what you want to see in future videos, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.